should come take a class.
I can't wait till I can take a class. I wanted to take one like all the time, and it's like every day they offer it. It's like
it's just a bad thing. It's okay. Well, we're gonna have more options now. As a matter of fact, I can't talk about it too much on today's show, but I just got a deal this past week with they're building a new North Huntsville library. So
I know.
I'll be we're building.
Mic check. All right. Welcome you guys to another episode of In Tune with T Mill. I'm your host, T Mill, live from the Rocket City. You will now be encouraged and entertained. Nothing will change until you change something. I'm T Mill, and we're going to change the status quo tonight. My special guest is right here in the Rocket City. This is a live conversation. It's not an interview. We're broadcasting live on everywhere. Mars, Facebook Live, MySpace, whatever you want to call it, AOL.com. We got it all going. And he's owner, operator of the conservatory, Maitland Conservatory, right here in the Rocket City, Mr. Mario Maitland. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely, man. It's a surprise that, when I found out that this conservatory was here, and also an excitement because it's like, oh wow, we got a black-owned conservatory, a business, right here on the north side of Huntsville, and with all the excitement and things that are building on the north side and things to come, it's exciting to see business, in the area. So I got a couple special guests with me. I needed some help, man. I don't know how to do this. I had to bring a couple people with me, some professionals, to make sure that that I do this the right way. So I'm going to start over to my right. Miss JQ is joining us again, in the building, throwing up gang signs, representing owner, operator, creator of Fitness Defied. What's up, JQ?
What's up?
Now her voice is a little bit hoarse because she's ran about 50 miles today. It's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but she's already ran 50 miles. She ran all the way from Columbus, Mississippi. We're glad to have you. I'm glad you got here safe.
Thank you, and I'm glad I made it on this really cold, frosty day.
Yeah, and not the other Columbus, Mississippi. Columbus, Mississippi, that's 50 miles away. We're talking about that one.
Yeah.
It's more than 50 miles. And we also have, I like to call her Miss Nisi. But you guys may know her as the model, Miss Vonda. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
All right, so she gets to okay, yeah. Everybody gets to take this applause. I got sound effects. And then of course we have the incomparable, the almighty Mr. Marcus Sims of WJAB FM 90.9. What's going on?
Hey, I'm happy to be here, T-Man. I'm glad this is a paid event for me. Anytime I get paid to be on the podcast, I'm always happy to be here.
There you go. Well, hey, I'm glad y'all take Google Play, Google Pizza Money, because we can definitely do that. Get some Domino's pizza something going on. All right. So we're here to talk with. We had to have a conversation with Mario Maitland. We're also live on Facebook. Thank you guys for watching. And if you guys can't hear us, and I know y'all, I'm talking to y'all over there, and I'm over here by the mic, but you got to listen to the podcast. Subscribe to us on SoundCloud.com/Paradox East, or search In Tune with T-Mill on iTunes, Google Play, wherever you're listening to your podcast. And if it's not there, call them up, ask them why, and I'll take care of the rest. So we're talking about a conservatory, and for those that don't know, what is a conservatory? Because I'm gonna tell you what I thought a conservatory was. I'm just gonna put myself out there for everybody. I thought a conservatory. I got it misconstrued with the observatory.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
as
all
a
right.
kid coming up, and I was learning about music, and I heard conservatory, I was thinking, okay, well that's a conservative observatory. Great. Fine. So little did I know I was wrong, but tell us what a conservatory is.
Well, the actual definition of a conservatory is a place of intense study. So, as far as Maitland Conservatory, this is a place of intense study on your preferred genre or your specific educational area. Whatever it is that you want to get into, whether it's piano, whether it's mixing, whether it's dance, anything like that, you're coming to promote intense study on that subject area. So that's what the word conservatory means.
That's what I'm talking about. And it's not just a place where, you guys have to come in and check it out, whether you take a tour and come up here. Who's our first time is it coming up here?
It's my first time.
First time?
My first time, yeah.
First time?
They should
Okay.
give you guys a tour after.
All right.
There you go. Definitely got to take the tour. And as many places as you've been, Marcus, I'm surprised this is your first time because you've been everywhere in I in the HSV, man. Marcus
He has
Sims
to
is
serve
10
food
toes
up in
down
here,
there.
so I
That's okay.
That's what it is.
Let's
That's
just keep
what it
it
is.
real. You can't get
That's
us
what
3
it is.
pieces of pepper
Right.
here.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. When I think about it,
This is a
yeah,
great place. This is a great place, and I'm happy to be here for my first time. I'm been walking around like a newcomer, just looking at everything.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
awesome.
we do have vending machines up at the front, though, now. So that's
See, there you go. There you go.
It's my new hangout spot. Right, it's my new hangout spot. Word.
Right. And being the fact that it's right down the street from Alabama A&M, a thriving college, also down the street from the former Johnson Jaguar High School, and now the new McNair High School, and also McNair and Jemison, right down the street. So there's going to be so much creativeness and just intriguing minds, and a whole lot of kids that we need to keep out of trouble and give them something to do.
Right.
So we don't want them, we were those kids at one point in time, but now we're a little bit grown. We got bills to pay, and this is going to give them something to create. So with the conservatory, I want to talk about the importance of music education, and first with the schools, and then of course with creativity. So as you've seen it from your experience, how long have you been here at this location?
Well, I've been here now going into our 5th year.
Wow.
Yes, 5th year.
Wow.
That, that's how most things are. A lot of times when it first gets going, people don't really know, so on and so forth. Then by the time, everyone kind of catches on a little, we've had time skin in the game for a while. But, it's actually okay with me because that time gave me a chance to really see what worked, what didn't work, fail at a couple of things, succeed at a few things. So, we're going into our 5th year, and it's definitely going uphill from here.
Wow, 5 years, man. And for those of us that didn't know, we got to get out like our grandparents did and just drive around the city, drive around the country, and just see what's out there. For the schools, what do you think why do you think music education? Because, I mean, let's play devil's advocate. I'll play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
The kids are going to school to learn, math or science, social studies, not art or music what do you think is the need or the benefit of music or dance or the arts, for them to be able to learn?
Well, I got to first say, I love the fact that you asked me that question, because it's that question that this conservatory was birthed out of the answer to. I actually did my research and statistics project when I was working on my master's on the importance of music education. And out of that project, I wrote the business plan for this place in 2006. Wow. So, that was the whole reason why I wrote it, why I decided to start this business. But, the way I answer that question a lot of times is I say this. I say, who's your favorite artist? Just give me your favorite artist. Tupac. All right. So we start with Tupac. First of all, the reason you love Tupac is because of his music, right? You love him because of his music. So someone had to create his music, right? So that means there was a producer involved to create it, right? So whoever produced his music, if there was bass on there, if there was keys on there, somebody had to play it, right? Yeah. So that means there was somebody that had to learn to play an instrument and then had to get to the level to be able to produce the music for Tupac. But then I take it a step further, right? So you know what Tupac looks like, right? Why do you know what Tupac looks like?
On TV,
right. Media. Photos, media, everything.
Media.
Somebody.
There was a photographer that took Tupac's picture. Right?
Right.
So if you didn't know what Tupac looked like, and there was no photographer to take his picture, you wouldn't know who he was, really. Because that photographer helped, or those photographers helped to create that image that we're used to. And then I take it a step further. Have you ever been to a Tupac concert or a live concert? Yeah. So when you go to a concert, you're in there and you're like, man, I'm loving this concert. It sounds great in here. But nobody really pays attention to the guy back there running the sound bar,
right? Oh, you know how important that is.
How important that is, right. So I say that because there's a lot of people that, and it's not always, people's fault, but when it comes to the arts, we think of it more as a hobby. It's not really considered to be, a lifelong career.
You just named about 40 jobs.
And I haven't even named all of them.
Right.
There are, right, in art.
Pertaining to one small entity.
Exactly.
So everything is connected.
Everything is connected. When it comes to the arts are so extremely important. Without the arts, we all have those artists, those songs that we say, man, this song right here used to take me through this time. We have all that, but my thing is without those artists, without those people that do those jobs, we wouldn't have those moments in life. So, not only are the arts
timepieces, they bookmarks.
Exactly. So all of those things are extremely important. So that brought me to, okay, well, now we know why the arts is important and why music is important, but now there needs to be a bridge to connect the arts education to modern day application, because that's usually where the breakdown starts happening, which is why people feel like, music is just a hobby. Because when you go into the typical music class, you're learning about, the classical composers, which is, a great thing also. You're learning about basic music fundamentals, symbols, and all that. But then what fails to happen a lot of times is the connection between what can I do with this training I'm getting with modern day application. So I decided
how to make a living,
How do I make a living? Make it plain, right?
Paid
right. Make it
full.
plain. Right. So that presented another problem. I said, well, there are a few colleges and universities that offer, modern arts training programs. They're expensive, but this is the first thing that happens. Let's say you're 11 years old. You got a dream to be a producer, right? So at 11, you got this dream to be a producer. You're looking around, no place you can go and learn how. You've got to wait until you're 18 years old. Hopefully, by the time you're 18, you still have that dream to go do it. Then number 2, you got to find a place to go do it. Number 3, you got to hope you can afford that place. Number 4, you got to hope you want to go to where that place is, because they're very localized and specialized in certain areas. I believe the best time to go after your dream is at the point of inception. So as soon as you feel like, I want to do this thing, you should be able to go after it right away. And it was out of that concept and out of those answers that the Maitland Conservatory was birthed. I believe that when you have a dream, now is the time to go after it. That you shouldn't have to wait and do this, because we all know what happens sometimes when there's too much time in between. That point of inception. You get discouraged, you decide not to, blah, 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 all this certain stuff like that. I mean, just to be a little personal for a minute, this conservatory kind of came out of one of those moments, because I started getting discouraged. And it was like 2012. And I was like, I'm really trying to start a school. How are we going to do this? So on and so forth. All these little thoughts start creeping in. You start thinking about, well, maybe I need to move here. Maybe I need to do something else. So on and so forth. And one day I was just riding by and happened to see a number out there saying space for lease. I said, you know what? If I say that the best time to go after something is at that point of inception, you know what? I just got to step out there and do it.
Just do it, man.
And I called the number, and the rest is history. So
there you go, man. That's what's up, man. Give it up, man. Give it up. You know what I'm saying? Not waiting, not procrastinating.
Right.
Yes.
I have a saying that I say all the time, and it makes me a little scatterbrained, but inspiration is impatient.
Oh,
Yeah.
You always when
I know.
right when you have to do it.
Absolutely.
At that moment that you're thinking about it, when you're that fresh, on your mind, and when you're wanting to do it the most. I want to go around real quick. I want to ask you guys of a song that when you think about this song, you know exactly what year it is. No. Think about it.
Too many.
No, I just if a song comes on the radio right now, you know exactly what you were doing, where you were at, what year it was.
Ooh, I showed you.
Or if you're like me and you forget what grade you were in 94 or where you were living, you can hear a song and say, oh, yeah, because that song was out when I was in 6th grade. So, music keeps a time, and I'm wanting to know where some of you guys book my song. See, they already jigging, and they already got their thing going. So we're gonna take it to the right. We're gonna start with Miss JQ. What's because you already vibing. What's the song you got in your head?
Salt and Pepper's Push It.
That's it.
It was my first real concert in America. It was the first concert that I really got to go to in the United States of America. And my father took my friend and I to the Push It, to the Salt and Pepper concert. We dressed alike.
Oh, wow.
Boy, we had it going on like popcorn and chicken bone. And we thought we were salt and pepper.
Wait. What chicken bone?
Like popcorn chicken bone.
I gotta steal that one too. Definitely.
Yes.
Fonda, what's your song without the chicken bone?
Without chicken bone. Okay. One of my favorite songs, and it's by the artist. He is deceased now, but Pimp C. One of my favorite songs was "Riding Dirty."
Hey,
Good song.
That was a good one.
At the lunch table, spitting it, just man, getting it, everybody. I was at Johnson at the time. Shout out to JLJ and my people. Okay. We were, just at the lunch table, just killing it, just having a good time. But that was my first song that actually my brother put me on, and it's just been my first song ever since.
That's a good brother. Okay, nothing else we done. It's like Mario. What's your song, man?
All right, so y'all remember Joe? Do y'all remember
I
artist
know
Joe?
Joe. I love Joe.
All right, so okay, I'll take that. Actually, we'll take that one. Well, I'll take that one. Going, that takes me back to the 11th grade because I was at this program called the Governor's Honors Program. And we got to stay on the college campus for a couple of weeks or whatever. Nice. And so, there was this girl that I really liked. And there was a song she loved. It was Joe's Good Girls. I don't know if you remember that.
I know that.
Yeah. So, I can't sing, but I could play. So I found another guy that could sing. And went to the practice room. I played it, got him to sing. I still didn't get it, but it's all right then. And so I always remember the song from that.
Because of that.
Because of that.
Nice.
That's what's up, man. That's some play. Hey, man, y'all take some notes, man. Mario's gonna teach y'all how to play music, teach you how to play instruments, teach you how to serenade, teach you how to be romantic. You know what I'm saying? Save your marriage. He's gonna teach you how to play a song or sing a song.
He's gonna teach y'all how to cope, not court.
Okay.
Cope.
That's that foul word right there.
Marcus Sims, what's up, man? Which song?
Man, I'm thinking about senior year in high school, Belle Biv DeVoe, Poison.
Ooh! I had a shirt that said Poison on it when I went skating.
it was just on point, When you heard it, it's like, man, them cats from New Edition are doing that.
I know, right?
And then I had a chance to see him a concert. It was Belle Biv DeVoe, Keith Sweat, and Johnny Gill. And I saw and it was like, and it was so crazy because it was like in the middle of their set when they wanted to change clothes. they had a locker room on, like a basketball. So like literally, they were changing their clothes on stage, and they had a locker room like a sports players would do.
Stage.
And so you would see them change jerseys or whatever. They take off their Bulls jersey, put on a Celtics jersey, put on a different hat, and literally they put the stuff in the locker room, and then the show would proceed.
Oh,
wow.
Nice.
And it was like,
yo, that's dope. Somebody need to do that like now. Yeah. So, yeah, when I go on tour, that's what I'm going to be taking.
Right. You take a locker room?
Right. I gotta do a locker room. Now, I got a couple songs. I want to know your song, too. I want to know your song. We got people sitting in the room. Because I like music. What's a song? When you think about it.
The young generation.
Yeah, right.
What's
It
your
could
song?
be anything.
Come on. One that right off the top of your head. Boom.
If you hear it right now, you know it takes you right back to where you were when that song came out.
Fergalicious.
Oh.
That's a good one.
Hey.
Fergalicious. That used to be my cycle song, boy. I used to tear up that song like that.
That's crazy. I got 2 songs, and one of them I remember from, you said Johnson, and man, okay, so Johnson, when there was a song, I gotta set this up the right way. All right, so there was a song. If anybody's ever went to Johnson, you know they had 2 sides of the lunchroom. You had one side, and it was literally like kind of split with a brick wall almost. You had a TV in one corner, you had a TV in another corner, and you came out from your food. And if you had your tray, and if you were like me, and you hid your pizza under the tray because you wanted 2 pizzas, and you hold the tray like this so nobody would see the pizza, that square Mexican pizza that they're still selling. You come out, and you can go either right or you can go left to see which side of the lunchroom that you're going to sit on, all right? I don't know about nobody else, but I was always on the right. Like, just that year, everything was popping on the right. Like, the left, nobody was sitting on the left of the lunchroom. The teachers and the nerds, and just nobody wanted to hang with nobody that was hanging over there. So everything was popping on the right side of the lunchroom. And one year, this song came out. And when I tell you, every time this song came on, nobody ate their food. It was the best time for you to go take somebody's orange juice because they weren't looking at it anyway. And if you wanted to leave school, you could probably leave and come back, and nobody would know that you were gone. That was D'Angelo's How Does It Feel?
Oh,
yeah.
Wow,
I remember
when that song came on, everything stopped.
Don't let the video come on.
But that's what I mean. The video, the video would come on, and every girl in there would stop what they were doing and be staring at the screen. I couldn't even eat my lunch in there. I had to go in the hallway. I'm like, I'm staying in here for this mess. This foolishness, man. But my song that would take me back to where I was living in Montgomery, and it was Tupac's I Get Around. And man, that summer seemed like it lasted all year because that song was on every day. And man, I think about just what school I was going to, who I was hanging with, you know, the girl I was dating. I don't remember her name now, but it just takes me back to that time. Yeah. So with going back to music education, one connection that I make, and if you guys are just tuning in live, if you guys are just watching us, or if you've just so happen to listen to the middle of the podcast, and if you're listening live, because we are on Spreaker Live with the podcast, we're talking with Mario Maitland of Maitland Conservatory right here in Huntsville, Alabama, the Rocket City, progressing and preserving the culture of the arts right here in the 256. One connection, I try to use big words, but I can't think of them, so then I use a small word. So one, I was going to say correlation. So one connection that I always make with students or with school and arts is because a lot of people try to discredit the arts as a whatever, you know, just like we talked about earlier. And one thing I found is, I think, I could be wrong, but it seems as though a lot of kids that are really great, or they understand math, or they're just phenomenal in math, they can do numbers in their head, they understand formulas, so on and so forth. Those are probably, they're some of the most prolific, like, you know, artists, musicians, but then on the flip side of that, they also have the most problems in school. They can't sit, you know, in a room and listen to instruction and get it. You know, they have to move. They have to do something. Right. So those that go into arts, drawing, creating, architecture, whatever, they're great in math, phenomenal. But they can't sit in a class. They have to create something. They got to do something. But they're great, phenomenal in math. They're usually great at piano, music theory, things like that. It just comes naturally to them. Counting beats and all this other stuff comes a lot naturally to them. So, have you found that to be true, or is that?
No, that's absolutely true. I mean, there's actually studies that show that, music, especially playing an instrument, actually causes you to utilize both hemispheres of your brain. Because not only using the visual side, you're using the auditory side as well, too. You've got physical things that are happening. Then there's the emotion that's being triggered from that as well. So there's studies that show that. Now, as far as like the hyperactivity and attention deficit thing, sometimes that is very true because I was actually diagnosed with ADHD when I was a kid. Clearly, y'all that know me now, I don't seem that hyper, really. But there's a lot that's always going on in here.
But here's the thing. Okay, so when they diagnose kids with ADHD, and I know this is a whole completely different thing. This is why this is a conversation. Is the kid just, they can't pay attention?
No.
Or is the person just that boring and uninteresting?
When you're diagnosed with this ADHD,
like it can't be
there is a chemical imbalance DNA biologically in your system that is none of your control. No one can control. Now, because people have discovered that ADHD is also a nervous condition,
they just giving them out like they just giving them out like food stamps.
Because the child is fidgety or their attention span may be short.
Okay.
But I'm the same. I was diagnosed with ADHD as well as a child and as an adult. But I have the same issue. I am numerically challenged. I can figure out sequences, numbers, and those things. And I'm one of those persons that had the gift of I see it one time, I got it. I see it once, I got it. I learned to play the piano in that way. I did it for 13 years. Wow. However, when I stopped playing, the skill went away. And if I sit down right now and I learn to read music, like I can play for my church once a month if I learn the song. Because I can see it and then I can it just flows. But to sit down in a piano and remember everything that I did, I don't have that skill.
See, I'm the exact opposite. So if you're going to teach me something, you got to teach me 46 times the same way, and you have to talk to me like a 2-year-old. I tell people all the time when they're trying to tell me how to do something, look, talk to me like a 2-year-old. Do it over and over. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. All right, now I got it. And the reason I was thinking about that with math and the connection with music, my oldest son, he was thinking about getting into, well, not thinking about it, but he was watching, we were watching guys doing beats and doing music production on YouTube. And he asked me, he said, man, that looks like a lot. He said, how do you do that? Just watching it, he said, because I've never seen you do that, but is that how it is? And that looks like a lot. I said, no, it's really not. I said, for you, it's not that much. I said, because you're very mathematically gifted. I said, for me, it took me all day to learn how to do this. I said, but a lot of these guys, and I was going back and showing them these guys that were really great at production, and then going and showing him videos where they would mention how they were great at math and trying to show him that, because he thought, oh, I can't do this. It seems too complicated. I got to turn this knob, do this, move this up, listen for this, do that. And I'm like, no, if you got math, trust me, you can do this. Yeah. So, in Huntsville, have you? I don't know about you guys, and I haven't been a lot. I haven't been too tied into the what's going on at all the schools. But one thing I have noticed is there doesn't seem like there's a lot of music programs in the schools. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, of course, we've got AAA. We've got a couple of different music schools and the arts and things like that. Yeah. But as far as when all of us were going to school, and it seemed like every school had a music program and a really respectable study, not just the room downstairs that nobody was using no more. And they're like, all right, dump them in there and they'll be all right. But there was a real pride in the music. Have you seen with the kids and the adults and the people that are coming through the conservatory, are you seeing sort of that connection with the schools and with the communities, or is there some type of disconnect where they've got this training here and but it maybe not be balanced?
Well, it seems like what I'm seeing more of is that a lot of people are interested in the arts, but there's not a lot of outlets for the type of arts that they're trying to get into. There are some programs that are in the schools, but like you said, they're really starting to either one phase out, or two they're really hyper focused on a little segment of music, the basics, which is why a lot of people find music boring a lot of times. I grew up in a magnet program, so music was a part of my everyday life. And just to speak to the importance of it, I was introduced to the violin in the 4th grade. I saw a guy come in the after-school program, and I was interested in playing football. I wanted to play football, but I was like, there's something about that that's just kind of neat. Yeah. And my mom gave me the opportunity to try it. Now, I bring that up because that was in the 4th grade. That's what set me on the course to where I am now.
Right. And so she'd waited to...
Exactly. Now this is what I do for a living. So I bring that up because it started in a school program, right? So what if that school program didn't exist? So to me, that speaks to the importance of it. There's kids out here now that are interested in the arts. And see, if there aren't school programs that offer it, that's why we want to be a supplement to that. Not only a supplement to those traditional programs, but again, I can't say it enough. We have to bridge the gap between the fundamental and basic training and modern application. Kids are using iPads and laptops in school.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what they're using for books
That's
now.
right.
Yeah.
So why isn't music moving in the same direction, right? Why is it that we're still stuck in, okay, we learn about Beethoven, we learn about Mozart, this is a treble clef, this is a bass clef. There's got to be more to it than that.
Well, you know
there
why?
is more to it.
Because, a tablet and a phone or a computer, they can tell them press play. If they start bringing in music programs, that means I actually have to teach you something. Now, if they would figure out that there are programs online that you can click and press play and let the kids do that, but I think because, and there could be another reason, but also I think even art, just drawing or visual arts, that there doesn't seem to be any outlets again for kids to learn how to draw, learn how to. My kid didn't know who Bob Ross was. I put him on Netflix and was like, yo, this white dude with the afro used to come on Saturday mornings and would draw trees.
Teach you how to draw.
I learned how to draw from Bob Ross. He was the coolest, hippiest white guy I ever met. But man, Fro like Angela Bassett or something, Angela Davis.
And Bassett.
Right, and Bassett. Bassett looks a little better. But
never mind.
But I was going to ask Mario, though, it's kind of interesting because, they're, in the bridging the two worlds, you want the kids to know technology.
Yes. You
want them to know how to do all the stuff on the computer and to do all the stuff, but you also want them to know the arts.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes, from my opinion, especially in Huntsville in this area, because it's such a technological boom or whatever, know the computer, know how this and know how that, don't know how to write a poem or don't know ballet or don't know, don't know basic artists like Beethoven who.
Right.
Literally, and I'll be honest, and it's not something that's just started. The arts have always been on a decline because I can't write, I'll be honest, more than 3 sentences about Beethoven. That's just how it is. It was not pushed, but it was pushed to me to know how to set up a computer, how to download something. You better learn how to this. How do you bridge the gap? Because it seems like those kids don't. Right. And it's like it's not being taught, and you do want them to know it. They do need to know it, but and then they're also taught the arts don't make you any money. Man, why should I do that? My daddy make 100,000 programming computers. How much money you gonna make really? Strumming a guitar,
right? But
and again, show them, with Timbaland and all these other guys making 300,000 for a beat.
True.
I mean,
that's a beat.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's where the kids, I think, they misunderstand because they think that the artist is the one that's making the money,
and that's not
and
the truth.
that's where they get confused. They want to be this great rapper, but they don't understand that behind that rapper is where the education. He has to have the education and the knowledge to know that he needs a producer. He needs somebody to write the tracks. He needs somebody in the marketing and media department. He needs this, that, and the other.
Attorneys, everything.
Right, because it's not just the rap, and that's where our kids these days. This is where the conservatory brings in, because again, the conservatory teaches you the specifics of what you need.
Exactly.
Concentrated specifics of what you need to be a piano player.
Exactly.
Not just how to be a piano, not to read the music, but to understand the concepts of what it takes to be a piano player.
And then we take it just a step further from that, and we set it up in a matriculation type of environment where, okay, you're learning this, and you learn all these things, and then we say, well, on top of that, now with what you've got, you can do this, that, and this. So I tell you what, we offer this, that, and this. Let's take you to this now.
Yes.
Let's show you how to go and do this, and this is what you can do with it. I mean, when you speak of bridging that gap again, why learning about Beethoven, why learning about the traditional arts is important. I mean, there are careers that focus on that. You take movies, for example, film composers. Well, that's just the person that's writing the music for the movies, but there's also that person that writes music for video games. The person that writes music for commercials. Take it a step further. There's orchestrators that take the film composer's music and put it to paper. So there's that. That's where your music theory knowledge comes in. Understanding how the range of various instruments, the transposition of instruments comes into play. Then you take it a step further than that to the film orchestra. They have film orchestras. People who, they play the violin in film orchestras. That's what they do. They play the trumpet, the trombone in film orchestras. That's what they do. And they get paid quite well for that. And they get to play on movies like Inception and Fast and the Furious and Avengers and all that. So again, it's partly, we have to make sure that these programs are not just hyper-focusing on one or the other, on the technology or on the traditional, but that they're focused on bridging and showing this works with this. You need both. Just like with my ear training piano students. I teach both, ear training as well as how to read. And a lot of them come in and they say, I want to learn how to play by ear. That's all I want to know. Say, okay, that's great and all, but when I teach you how to do this, when I teach you the theory behind it, you're going to be able to play ear by ear even better.
Wait. You can teach. Wait.
Yes.
Where was this when I was? Because I learned how to play by ear. Not to cut you off.
No, you're right.
You teach how to play by ear and then by tradition.
Exactly.
Man.
Yes.
I learned
That's
how to
what I'm
play by
talking about.
ear before I did with music notes.
Yes, I mean, it's definitely a way. There's a way to do it. I mean, I can teach you to listen to a song and without touching the piano, be able to play that song. That's where the theory comes into play, as well as I can listen to a song and hear certain types of chords and know, that's a secondary dominant. That's a Picardy third, so on and so forth. That's from the training. That's from the traditional training. See, I was able to take what I knew about the traditional side and connect it with, that's what they're doing, in this church song. That's what they're doing in this song, so on and so forth. Now there's that connection right there. And so when you learn that connection, that's when those limitations, they come off.
They come off.
I want to hear Mario do All the Way Up on something.
Right.
That's what I want to hear now. All the way up.
All the way up. Nothing can stop me.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
What JQ said, and you also, Mario, music itself is so powerful. Like, it just...
Music makes babies. It can do a lot.
It does.
It starts wars and stops wars.
It is. I mean, you could be having the worst day, and you just put on somewhere, you hear a tune in your head or whatever, and it calms you down. Music can take you so many places. And like I was telling my oldest son, he's one of those that, because music is in my blood. Like, I mean, I come from a family of music. It's, mama was a singer. Dad was a singer, drummist. I mean, all kind of stuff. So it's in me. But my son, he's one of those. I think he really wants to get into the behind the scenes of the music business, and learning how to mix and that, all those good things. And I tell him, hey, that is where the money is, one.
Absolutely, it sure is.
But it takes a special love for music.
You can't just get into it for the money.
You can't, because it is a love. It's a passion. It's a love you have. And you either born with it or you're not.
Yeah, that's real.
To have that type of connection with it. So, and not seeing it in our schools. It's very disappointing.
We need it. We absolutely need it. We absolutely
with it myself.
And now, real quick, because I know JQ's got to run another 50 miles. It's 4:12. She runs 50 miles every day. Every day at 4:12 p.m. She runs 50 miles skipping. Skipping.
It's true. I can attest to that, you guys.
Right. You seen her, when we were driving down University, looking for some pizza. Yeah. And she was running, 50 miles. And I called Marcus Sills. I'm like, you see this? JQ, you know what I'm saying? 50 miles.
While we eating pizza, she's skipping down the parkway.
Right.
She even got with that picture.
She even got a speeding ticket. She got a speeding ticket for running. So
ain't nothing wrong with
I had pizza.
A square.
No. I had pizza today, and I had a cookie. What? Don't try to play me.
Okay, this is part you edit out. All this is I had a piece of pizza. Which means she put a fork to it and ate it. And it was tofu pizza.
Tofu pizza?
Gluten-free.
What?
I mean,
gluten-free, organic, grass-fed tofu pizza.
Right.
That's what she had.
Yeah, but she's claiming it as pizza.
It is pizza. It was round and it had toppings and cheese and sauce on it. Boom.
Hilarious.
Right. Wow. But I want to know from you guys, what is that one song that you could be having the worst day and you hear it and I don't care what you're going through. I mean, think about, maybe not the worst, but think about maybe even your worst. Yeah. That something that you went through, and we ain't got no Kleenex here, so don't nobody go crying nothing like that. We ain't got no Kleenex, because but so and all that. But think about that time or that one song that no matter what you going through, you hear that, and at least for 3 minutes, it's all good. Now when it go off, then you're like, all right, that's back to life. I gotta pay these bills. What's that song for you, Jay?
It would be anything off of Celine Dion's album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her voice and her story match for me. And so anything off of, I saw her live when I was in Vegas, and that connection, seeing her live, the performance that went with the album, that went with the story, kind of just all, one of those things like you say, when you have that bridge and then it's gapped, and then you have that connection, the connection makes you more eternally and emotionally attached. I think that's one of the things that music is missing from our children. Yes. I think that the arts have dissipated, and that is what is missing from the growth and the evolution of our children, the integrity that's missing. We are beings that are built on a beat. We are rhythmically moving. Yes. We are built with our hearts beat to a certain rhythm. Our emotions are triggered by certain rhythms of chemical releases in our body. And so when we have no music, we have no connection to arts, we have no connections to tangible, visual, and audible things that drive our emotions and the chemical processes in our body, then we miss so many of the important things that connect us as humans, that connect us with our nurturing, our nature, our spirituality, those things that we can't see or touch. I think the visuals and the arts and the music and cultural things, those are the things that we are missing as far as our connection, which is, I think, the missing element of why we don't share unity, even as people, as races, as countries, because we are losing the connection from our arts, our culture, and our music.
Yes.
Give it up, JQ, going to the bottom of the ocean again. You know what I'm saying? Going to the index, going to the
as we pass the offering plate around the table.
Because all I said was
pass that offering plate around with 5 in it myself.
I'm out of here.
No, you're not. You're coming back.
I'm out of here.
Hey, run safe and
I will.
Miss Nisi, what is that one song for you that brings you? What's that music that? And again, you guys got to think about this now. For those of y'all that are listening, for those of y'all that are creating music, I want you guys to think about this too. That's listening, because you or someone you know has the ability to invoke these emotions. You could be responsible for somebody having a baby. You could be responsible for somebody getting married. Wow. You could be responsible for somebody, having to do some years through prison or through jail, or losing someone and evoking, a sense of calm, tranquility. You have that ability to make someone fall in love. You have that ability to. Music is powerful, so that's why we want to talk about these music and the music and these songs. Vonda, what's that one song for you?
Wow, that is. It's a hard one, but it's an easy one. I would have to say Anthony Hamilton, Mama Knew Love, because it helped me get through the hardest of times after my mom passed. So that is definitely one of my favorite songs. It just says a lot. It gets me through a lot.
That's right. I'm telling you, man. That's music has that power. To do that. When we're going through something, or that we think about somebody, or whatever it is. Yep. Mario, what's that song for you? What's that song?
Well, for me, mine may sound a little bit nerdy, a little bit music nerd like, but it really represents a pivotal moment for me in life. It's Chopin's Minute Waltz, because well, the reason that's so important to me is I remember walking into middle school in 7th grade. Well, it was 6th, 7th grade. I can't remember exactly when, and they had one of those pianos in there that would play back stuff, and I remember hitting play on it, and that's what started playing. It was one of the demo songs, and I remember saying, man, one day I'm going to be able to play that. And I had a teacher that just really pushed me to be better and to play better. And so anytime I hear that piece, it's like this reminder of when I thought I couldn't, I did. I eventually did. And so that just really has an important, whenever I hear that piece or I listen to that piece, it reminds me, one, where I came from, two, but it also reminds me that I can keep moving forward and I can conquer whatever it is I'm trying to conquer.
Wow. And what's that song again?
It's by Frederick Chopin. It's called The Minute Waltz. That's what it's called. Minute Waltz.
Cool. I got to check that out. Marcus?
Man, Mario mentioned this song and it ran everyone out the room.
No.
You're supposed to say Earth, Wind, and Fire or something.
I know, right? That is
Frankie Beverly and Maze. He said Chopin, everyone ran out the room. No, that's dope. That's dope. But Mario, there's so many different forms of music that we say hip hop, and and we look at R&B. But to me, I'm just gonna say the perfect album would be Bob Marley's Legend.
Oh man,
because it's everything that you need. You talk about baby making, well, he's got songs on there. You talk about songs that deal with the struggle we have as a people. It's on there. You talk about just getting up and dancing, he's got that on there as well. And I think to me, so I always gauge someone, man, if you don't have like a Marley album in your collection, it may not be out front, but if you don't have something of Marley in your collection, I question your ears. I really do. I question your ears, because if you don't have something in there that just, because Waiting in Vain,
right,
No Woman, No Cry, Redemption song doesn't make you stand in place for a moment, man. So it's like one of those things where you're thinking about it, like that's like the album, It's like, I mean, and it's a compilation, but of all this stuff. But I think it's still so cool because it's like everything you could want. Like if you want to get pumped up or the whole nine, like it's one of those albums where it's like, I would say that album. Yeah.
I think one song for me is from a group, and I'm the same way. It's actually an album. I can name one song from that group, but all of the songs came from this one album. Little did I know until I got older. I don't know where they're from, but it was a group called Special Blend that I heard at Oakwood, and they used to do this. I don't even know what you call it. It was like maybe 5-part harmony and whatnot. They were kind of like your Take Six and then some of those old groups that had all that harmony going on crazy, and that the song is. I find a lot of like peace in some of the weirdest songs. So the song is actually about them losing someone, and that actually at a funeral. It is the most. In a sense, like my sister was like, this is the most depressing song I've ever heard in my life. She was like, oh my God. But that song could come on like right now, and it took me years to find it, on the station. Or now I'm actually surprised that it came on Tidal. They got Take 6 on Tidal. Oh wow. They got Special Blend on Tidal. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like speaking of streaming, but that song, a few of those songs, no matter what I'm going through, no matter what type of day I'm having, no matter what, it brings an over calming like sense of just peace and tranquility, no matter what I'm going through. And they got a couple songs to get me excited and whatever. Yeah. So those are like that's my go-to, for that strength. So you guys were talking with Mario Maitland and about the Maitland Conservatory. Let's talk about some of the accomplishments and some of the achievements that you want to recognize that have come through here, or that are coming to fruition of the kids and the adults and everything that's coming through. So let's big up some people real quick and big up some accomplishments that's been coming from Maitland Conservatory?
Absolutely. Well, probably the first one that comes to mind is this guy named Marquise Harden. I don't know if you know Marquise Harden. He's from Huntsville. Doing some great things now in the music industry. And the reason I bring his name up first, because in 2010, this was before I actually opened, I held a gala to introduce this concept of the Maitland Conservatory kind of to the public. And he found one of those flyers and contacted me and said he just wanted to intern and be around and help and so on and so forth. So he started hanging around, helping. I started taking him to, introducing him to some labels as I was doing work, so on and so forth. He just really had this passion. And even once we opened, he continued to help. And what I started to see happen was that passion was starting to be fine-tuned and refined into a focused area. And he gained more confidence in really wanting to go after this thing. Because, sometimes we all have this dream, and we've got this passion, but we don't necessarily have the confidence to go after it. So that started happening, and so we decided to start going to school for it, doing more work. As a result, some of the labels that I introduced him to saw his work ethic. They brought him on the team, started handling mechanical royalty paperwork, so on and so forth, contacting artists, everything like that. He started meeting artists that he said he always wanted to meet. That gave him even more confidence. Then he started going to Belmont. Long story short, now he's working for Mary Mary's former manager up in Nashville, Maximum Artist Agency. I see him on Facebook with everybody from Tamala Man to just all over at all kind of award shows doing his thing. But the reason I bring him up is because he is the model of what we're trying to do. Not only are we trying to teach you how to do something, we're trying to connect you with outlets and resources. Because it's not about just learning how to do something. You learn it, you got the knowledge. Now you got to know what to do with it and have the opportunity to do something with it so that you can make a living. And so he's a great example of that.
That's what and I want to hear some more, but that's the reason why I think that this is so important. Because you can go to YouTube and figure out how to bake cookies. You can go to YouTube and figure out how to change bricks. Matter of fact, my wife was so impatient for me to change her brakes that she got on YouTube and figured out how to change her own brakes. I know I shouldn't be putting that business out there because then they're like, well, why you ain't change the brakes? Look, I told her to wait until I get off of work. She didn't want to wait, so she did it herself. She went on YouTube. You can learn a lot from YouTube. You can learn a lot from online. But what a lot of institutions, conservatories, and some of the places that are in teach of instruction are teaching you is you can't get all of it in a 30-minute video. YouTube only lets you upload maybe an hour. Unless you're trying to go to sleep and you're like me and you listen to 8 hours of yoga music and binary beats and whatever. But there's a lot that you can't get, and you have to have that face-to-face, hand-to-hand instruction and to know the why behind it, because that's where the money is. That's where the advantage or the leverage is. This person may be able to play, and you could play just like them, but this person understands what they're doing. What happens when that key doesn't play anymore? What happens when that button doesn't work? Do you know what to do to fix it? Do you know how to play it in a different key? You may only know how to play it in a certain key or in on a certain instrument. But do you know how to mix on a different console? Consoles are all the same if you understand what it is that they do. But if you only know how to mix on a Neve or a SSL or whatever, or on your computer, but then all of a sudden somebody puts you in front of a 331 track board or something, and you lost, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. But if you understand the why and the what that you're doing, then you're able to, be able to do that.
Well, no, it's extremely important to have that relationship and that dialogue between teacher and student. I get a lot of students that say, well, why do I need to come take classes on how to produce or mix and master? I already do it well, or whatever like that. And then so or they say I can go to YouTube and learn. And while I'm not discrediting YouTube for a lot, because there's a lot that you can learn on there. The thing is, though, when you go to YouTube, sometimes you got to already have a somewhat of a platform of knowledge to go to it to really understand what they're talking about. You can go to YouTube, yes, and learn how to apply compression, but if you don't understand what a threshold is, if you don't understand how makeup gain works, if you don't understand why ratios are set the way they're set, what a hard knee and a soft knee is when it comes to using a compressor, makes no sense. Also, if you don't have that ability on YouTube to dialogue with a teacher and say, well, let me show you, when you use a ratio of 5-to-1 on a bass, this is what it's going to do. When you use 4-to-1 combined with a soft knee, this is what it's going to do on this vocal. You can bring this up. Or let's say we want to cut this vocal around 50 hertz. We're going to use a high-pass filter. And then we're going to boost it around 250 hertz. When they start talking like this on YouTube, you're going to be lost.
You're like, what?
Right.
I'm lost now. Mario dropped so much. I'm lost. Like, he said,
I was taking notes.
He said, when you press the red buttons, all I heard was the red button. Then after that, I'm gone. I don't know what he said.
What is that?
When you hit the 3/4 to the 5th.
And that lack of knowledge will cost you jobs. Because to be honest, the reason how I got into producing for as many artists as I did, it came out of an opportunity because another producer didn't have the knowledge to do what the artist needed.
Opportunity best serves the well prepared.
And because that producer couldn't do it, it was he needed him to produce a track in 6/8 time. The producer didn't know what 6/8 time was.
He's like 6/8. You need me to do it 6 to 8 times? You need me to do it that many times?
And Mario swooped in, and the rest is his.
And I said, I know what.
Right.
Because of my track, I knew what 6/8 time was. I knew what the strong beats were in 6/8 time, and I could produce in 6/8 time. The opportunity came from there, and you've got to be prepared. And there's a lot of opportunities come and go like that.
Yes.
So for those that are just tuning in, and for those that are wanting to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you? Where can they find you online to learn more about the Maitland Conservatory and learn how to make some paper out of their creativity? All right, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, definitely. There's a couple of ways. You can give us a call here at 256-715-1170. Our office hours are 3 to 6:30. Now, yes, I am here before most days, but those are our advertised office hours as far as when admin is in the office and everything to answer all your questions. You can also go to our website, which is www.themaitlandconservatory.org. You can find everything, a list of all of our programs that we offer, even special classes that we have coming up. We do a lot of free workshops, especially in the music business area. I can't stress enough how important music business is, understanding how publishing works, understanding how copyright law functions, all of those things, because that's where the money is made. And you definitely want to know that, or else you're missing out on a whole lot. You can contact us that way. You can also email us at info@themaitlandconservatory.org. If you want to stop by and just come and check out our facility, we're at 5045 North Memorial Parkway, Suite F. I always use the landmark of the Bojangles on the corner.
There you
go.
You
know where the Bojangles on the corner of Winchester and the Parkway? Yeah. Then the Animal Hospital is next to that. We're in Northern Plaza right next to that. So you can find us right in here in Suite F.
No excuse.
Yep, and they got a vending machine up front.
And we got a vending machine.
People like me and Marcus Sims, they didn't know this place existed.
Word up. I got to get my Cheetos on. Word up.
You can also find us on Facebook, too. Look up the Maitland Conservatory. I'm Mario Maitland. You can find me there. You can find us on Instagram at Maitland Conservatory as well.
MySpace. You mentioned MySpace page.
Yeah.
I gotta work on the MySpace.
MySpace.com /
the Maitland Conservatory. Don't go there. It ain't up yet.
Right. Don't do
that.
It's
under construction.
It's under construction right now.
Those three of you.
You know they got a degree in that now? In social media? Yeah.
Sheesh.
I'm telling you, man, those are the things that our kids and people don't know.
10 years ago.
Wow.
Like, if I just could rewind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. They got a degree now. Social media manager.
Because,
that's what's happening. And it speaks to that whole connection between the traditional and modern application. Wow. They're taking that business model and applying it to social media usage. It's a degree.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so.
I mean, people are making money and making businesses, making a living. There are jobs now that are out there. If you look online, and I hate when I hear people say, "Nobody's hiring. I can't find a job. There ain't no job out
Why you doing the voice
I don't know why, because it just sounds like they're
whining like that.
When they talk, that's just how it sounds, because they're in Huntsville, Alabama. No matter where they are, I don't care where they are. I'm like, we're in the day and age. There used to be a time where you could say that maybe there's no jobs. All right, but the internet came and killed all that. Yep. All right, but that was years ago. Let's just say, okay, you didn't have the internet then. Now everyone has the internet. There's jobs out there for social media, marketing, anything you can think of almost. Oh, yes. Legally. Let's put that legally. Legally. There's about a job for everything. Creating. Yeah. There's a job for people to stand in line on Black Friday. You can hire somebody to stand in line to take your place on Black Friday, so you don't lose your spot and you don't have to sit outside for 5 hours. You can pay somebody to do that.
And for someone that takes that job, just for the record, you're petty. If you hire someone to do that, you're petty.
You're utilizing resources. You are driving the economy. You are driving commerce.
Marcus the Grinch.
This brother could be at home, but he is out standing in the cold for you. For that TV.
I'm going to connect, see exactly what y'all say. I'm going to connect it to music real quick, to a career that a lot of people don't think about. How many of y'all play video games? Play basketball games, right? Play a basketball game. As the player is running up and down the court, you hear his shoe squeak, the ball hit the ground. When he's dribbling, you hear all that. There's a job for that. It's called sound design. There's a person that just puts sound effects in that does Foley recording, where they go out in
Foley
the field.
Artists,
Foley artists, and just collect fresh sound. They collect the sound of a room with nobody in it.
Just recording.
Yes, because they use that stuff in movies.
See, I'm weird like this, so everybody excuse me, but I've always thought, or always think these things, like, who came up with this idea to do this and such and such?
It's there.
And it's like, where do you start? If
At the
you're
Maitland
interested,
Conservatory.
I've always wanted to do voiceovers. I've always been
that's a
told
big
I can
field.
do
In the right place.
imitations and stuff like that, and I think I do pretty good.
Give us okay, hold on. Give us one. Come on now. Give us one.
I knew y'all going.
Come on. So you have one ready.
A little British accent.
You have one ready. Come on.
Come on,
give us
British
one.
accent.
I will not.
Give us.
It's coming.
No,
It's almost. It's almost.
She wants to.
Oh no, Jesus! I'm just swimming. It's just from.
Wow.
That's my favorite. Hey, shout out to my babies because they always love when I do that. But of course, that's
Hilarious.
But no, seriously,
man.
I've always wanted to do that, and I wondered, like, how do you get involved in it? What steps? Who do you call? Like, do
You call the Maitland Conservatory.
That is right. You call the
Located
Maitland
right here.
Conservatory.
Now that I know.
On Facebook,
You
Instagram.
There you go.
Twitter.
And
Well,
soon
you heard it here first.
MySpace.
You guys.
We're going to revive MySpace.
Everybody heard it here first. Now, when your girl blow up,
That's right.
that blow up situation.
Blow up situation.
Off of the voiceovers.
No, but you know that's in big demand.
Yeah.
I mean, all the movie trailers, all the commercials, so on and so forth. There's like that voiceover artist really helps sell that thing to you.
Commercials.
But you know,
Say I have a voice, so
you know what's crazy?
This
if
is
you
why
watch
I
any
brought
of
you
those
on the
movies
podcast.
that come out, though, and I tell folks all the time that it's a big, big world out there for creativity.
Yes, it
and
is.
don't limit yourself into what you do. For example, if you watch a Marvel movie, for example, and everyone stays to the end and watch that little thing at the very, very, very end. You got to go through like 15 minutes of credits. And you see all those people who work behind the scenes to do it, and they're getting not checks, they're getting nice checks.
yes.
Right.
They're putting their kids through nice schools.
The guy that's holding the boom microphone.
Right. The computer CGI assistant is making some nice money.
Yes.
And I think it's, we got to look, it's the behind the scenes stuff.
Behind the
Well, you get paid as well. You get paid as well. The
Very
producer, the
well.
associate producer, the
Yeah.
sound man, the
Yeah.
guy who does all this stuff. These are legit jobs that you got to look at in the industry, not the music industry, acting, entertainment industry in general. And to me, I get a bigger kick seeing the behind the scenes stuff. I love to go behind and see how something is produced and put together.
Right.
And the actors do great, but I like to know the man. Like, I want to see the levels that Mario's using. Okay, like he took his mic down a little on that point. He took him up higher, or how the light is coming down. Like, man, the reason why they can't perform is because that light's too bright or it's too high. All those small things make a huge thing when you're seeing the presentation. It wasn't like one or two people who did it. No, it's a whole group.
Exactly. And that speaks to why the arts are so important. And there's a lot of jobs out there in that industry. You just have to be able to connect to them. And as of right now, especially in the Huntsville area, there's no way to connect to them. And that's where the Maitland Conservatory steps in. It says not only will we teach you, but now we're going to connect you with those opportunities so that you can go after those dreams. We live by that whole dream it, do it.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
So let's do
So
it.
one time, you guys, man, let's make some noise for the Maitland Conservatory right here in the Rocket City. You know what I'm saying? Let me get my sound effects, man. Speaking of sound effects.
Somebody had to make those sound effects for
He's the quietest crowd I've ever heard. It's some sound effects. Somebody had to
Give me
make
that
those.
download and get down as he speaks.
Speaking of which, and for those of you, the kids that are listening, I know you guys all watch TV shows. Well, when you watch a TV show, kids, and you hear people clapping in the background, and laughing. Well, guess what? There ain't nobody out there. That's a sound effect.
Right.
That's a laugh track is what they call it.
Laugh track.
And those are, you may have some, if the end of the show they say this is taped in front of a live studio audience. But that doesn't happen no more. So all the TV shows that you guys watch, I know most of them are reality TV and they don't have laugh tracks. They probably should have laugh tracks on reality TV shows.
Hilarious.
Somebody somebody start to fighting or something like that in there. Ooh.
They need hood laugh track.
Yes.
Oh, no, she didn't.
No. But don't do that. Gotta have a clap.
So somebody's got to create those tracks, you guys. So
Absolutely.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank all you guys for coming in to hang out. Everyone that was here. We had a couple people that had to come and go. Everyone that was watching on Facebook Live, everyone that was watching on Instagram Live, and all the other media that you'll see. Thank you guys for listening on Spreaker. Make sure that you click, like, subscribe. Helps us keep the lights on. Click the donation button. We're not asking for a lot. We're just making sure that the bills get paid. That's all we got to do. We ain't got to make a profit. Just keep the lights on. iTunes, make sure you click, like, subscribe. If you listen to the show and you have a question, please leave it in the comment section, or you can ask tmill@gmail.com. That's ASKTMILL@gmail.com, and I will forward it to Mr. Maitland, and he will respond back in a opportune time. All right? So thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank you, Mario, for allowing us to do this. We're here live at the Maitland Conservatory. Thank you guys. And again, this is another episode of In Tune with T Mill. We out.
Bye.
Yes, sir.
You get that power clap and then